For January the 31st, 2020, we talk about Vaporum, Psychonauts, and the Rhombus of Ruin, and we ask you about your preferred nostalgic adaptations. Welcome to Level 314. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm David Maismith.
I'm Jala.
And I'm Ed Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. I nailed it that time after a shaky start last time.
Good job.
Yeah.
So I feel like, though, are we being discriminatory against the people who don't love video games?
I don't know why they'd be here. They're
Maybe
welcome.
They're, interested in video games. They want to dip their toes in the water.
You know, actually, there are a few people who have met me who said that they were going to listen to the show because they like to hear people be enthusiastic about the thing that they do. And I am an enthusiastic individual. And so they wanted to hear the show for that reason. So it is entirely possible and logical in that fashion. So
because we're not making it for them doesn't mean that they are not welcome.
It's a podcast for people who love video games or Jala. Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I would listen to a podcast that was just like people explaining things they really like.
The Enthusiast Cast.
Indeed.
Yeah, welcome back, Ben.
Yeah. Sorry, I was away last week.
No worries.
It was no good reason, just hectic work stuff.
Oh, so. just your job that you need.
Just, yeah.
It was No, it was I was on call last week, and so normally that means I may or may not get paged, and so sometimes I've recorded while I was doing that, but last week when I showed up to work, looking at the queue of tickets we have, it was just like a dumpster fire. It's so I could tell at the beginning of the day, it's nah, I'm not going to be able to record today.
Yeah.
So that kind of stunk, but yeah.
That's been my work since the beginning of this year. The whole time has been
perpetual dumpster fire.
It has been every time I walked in. It's like the people in the wellness channel, because that's the wellness channel for not just fitness, but all kinds, emotional and mental wellness and everything. They have heard me just go off about oh boy, guess what, guys? Yet again, the system isn't working, and guess who's got XYZ amount of work to do, and I cannot do blah blah blah, and all this other mess. So I have not gone egregiously so, but it has been a couple of times that it's just been too much. Yeah. Okay, I'm so done with this.
Yeah, no, I feel for you guys. Those weeks suck.
I mean, you get it, Cole, right? Don't you get paged sometimes, when the podcast website goes down? Or I'm kind of the person who decides how big of a deal that is. But I feel like I'm lording that over. I remember working at the agency just weeks or particular clients where any time, day or night, it was it was something. It was generally if something was not my responsibility but it was my problem, those tended to bunch up in particular weeks, and especially since my work wanted me to get licensed. I had to, I've been doing this particular job for 13 years. So that's, the information on the test is not a big deal to me.
Right.
It's just I didn't have the official license and do all of that because I was not required. So I'm not going to jump through hoops for that for no reason. Why do I need it just to say woohoo, Anyway, so I had to do all of that stuff, but also the system's been having problems because our internal network's been jacked, but then the IT people were doing new builds to our proprietary file maintenance system, which they broke. And then the internet went out at one point. And then also they started working on the actual physical office, here in town. It like not the office itself, but like the office building just down the way. And so the power has been blipping off. There's been all kinds of other crap because the contractors have done stuff and like jacked up the lines and all kinds of mess. So it has been one thing after another. And then like I had my IT people messaging me in the middle of the night or on the weekend when they're trying to fix stuff to tell me to go do stuff because I needed to see if this or that worked and have to help them troubleshoot because that's the only way we can get up and running. So
nightmare. And while that's happening, you're not getting less work to do.
Exactly. And then all of that work is piled up while I cannot do anything because the system's not working.
Yeah. What's been going on besides all those work hassles?
My rucking club, like I haven't seen them since the beginning of the year, basically because the only times that they've been rucking have been like 35 minutes each way drive from me. And I'm not going to drive, over an hour to go ruck a few miles. But they surprised me by coming this Saturday to a park that is like down the street from me. So I was like, well, I got to go now. I was not planning on rucking today, and I've got a lot of other stuff to do, but I gotta go. They are there. So other than that, I am doing some heavier lifting this week, and my traps have been very mad at me for all the kettlebell and overhead pressing and other stuff I've been doing, followed directly by today was leg day, where I've got my heavy ass barbell right across my traps because I do high bar. I cannot do low bar. It does not sit well with my shoulders. And so like all of that pressure on my traps were pretty pissed. So, we had a domestic dispute this morning, but also on the note of all that stuff too, I have an event coming up in closer to the end, like 3 weeks into February. So basically a month from now. And I might die because it's like a 12-hour rucking event. And I have not been doing any rucking except for like this 4-mile ruck I did the other day because, I've been doing other stuff. I've been psychotically busy. So, like rats. And so now I'm going to have to ruck for 12 hours. Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So
not in a row though, right?
I mean, oh no, all in a row. It's 12 hours. It's just the event is 12 hours of rucking. So how exciting. Heavy too. Not just, so I chose the heavy division because that's how I roll. So, okay. But anyway, no, I won't die. I will just have very mad feet and very mad traps probably. But I will endeavor to get some rucking in before then, pretty obviously. But just how much time I've got for that is really just going to depend. I mean, with the way things have been going at work, I don't know. So, yeah, that's me. What about you guys?
Yeah, I feel like all we talked about was you being on call, Ben. You have anything else going on?
Yeah.
No, that was pretty definitive the entire week. So,
yeah.
Oh man,
I'm going to Portland again this weekend, so I'm excited about that. Taking the train down, hanging out with my friend, so should be
nice. Good. You got any plans to do together, or are you guys just gonna hang around?
We do. We're gonna do an escape room. I've never done one of those before, so so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, report back.
Yeah,
tell us how you do. I think that you would be very good at those.
It's one of those things where it's a lot of people working towards a common goal, so I'm not as good at that situation. Right. So we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, otherwise the puzzling part seems fun.
I only did one of those, and at least for me, it was way too math oriented. It just was
Sounds great.
not something I was interested in.
Yeah.
Or I guess I should say though, it was way too arithmetic oriented. Math is fine.
Oh, okay.
As long as it doesn't have numbers.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh man. How about you, David? What's going on this week?
Not a whole heck of a lot. I'm kind of in hibernation mode for the winter.
Makes sense. No parks to go do your stuff in.
Well, we're still training in the park, so that's interesting. So every so often we get, harassed by random homeless people, stuff like that. But, that's kind of, part and parcel.
Yeah, it's living in a big city. That's gonna.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, but yeah, we kind of gearing up towards the season beginning. Once things start to thaw, gonna have a big seminar in March, and then I'm trying to get ready for kind of a fight event in May. We'll see if I'm ready by then, but that's pretty much what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah, I don't have anything terribly exciting on top of that. No more exciting than stick fighting or carrying heavy things or riding a train. It's just been a bunch of work. Like things, to give some insight into what's happening on other shows. Particularly WAF is requiring a lot of my attention for cool reasons. Like, so tomorrow we're recording an episode about Atari, specifically the Atari 2600, but like I probably went a little bit overboard. I read 3 books about Atari.
Nice.
In order to do the primary, in order to do the research for it, secondary research, and I'm putting those notes together and stuff. Just reading about all the cocaine. Oh my God, so much cocaine.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, good, cool stories and stuff. But then also, like, I'm not going to go into like huge detail about this, but the premium episode for the end of February is XCOM. Enemy Within, Enemy Unknown. Yeah, and like I'm coming to this like way later. I know that all of you except Jala have been like crazy into this, but like that is a game that kind of defies my approach. Like it's not a game that has a set amount of time that you put into it. Like there are story missions you hit in order to like progress toward the ending, but like it's big and it's fun, but it requires a lot more play than I usually do.
Well, especially that one, you can just stall indefinitely if you want to.
Yeah. So I'm having a good time with it. It's a very fun game. However, it is like I could put in 4 hours on this today, and I end it, and it's like I have no idea how many more 4 hours I'm gonna have to do.
Yeah.
At least you're not doing the original XCOM.
True. Yeah, no, this one's a little bit more forgiving than that. But yeah, no, it's just been a bunch of work. That and
a great way to describe playing video games.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
It is work.
Doing my research, let's say, so I can speak with authority about this game that everybody played and devoured to bits 7 years ago.
Have you played the Whale? Oh yeah, that was the pre-roll. All right, good.
Have I played the what?
Got there. I thought we were making a Star Trek reference earlier.
Oh.
We're making an XCOM reference. We're good.
Okay, we're good. No, don't worry. we can rip cord out of that. But that's other shows. People will hear the fruits of that labor later. For right now, though, we've got this show, which I will ask: Are we good? Are we good to move into a regular episode? Can we gavel in? Yeah, we got the regular kind of episode with the grind, the multiplayer, and then the end boss. And why don't we get started with? Oh wait, shit! 1 second. Oops.
You should leave that in.
The grind. The grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Ben, you've been away the longest.
Oh shit!
Yeah. No, you should have known.
Yeah, I got 2, and you guys have seen a preview of one of them. I've continued playing Deep Rock Galactic. It's still pretty fun. I'm doing the kind of the upper level stuff where you get these cores. You can upgrade some of the guns that you have, or like you can upgrade the visuals. So it's just kind of like higher level rewards. But the problem is you can only get these sorts of things like once a week. So it's kind of like a slow drip. Well, that's fine. I'm leveling up the 4th character that I haven't leveled up yet. And so it's continued to be fun. So not much to say about it other than it continues to be a good multiplayer game. All right. But the new game that I have not talked about in the last 2 weeks is Control. I started playing Control.
Oh, dang. Yep.
Yeah, this is a weird one. So this is made by Remedy, the people who made God of War, or not God of War, sorry, Max Payne, not God of War.
Yeah,
I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna have words here.
They made Max Payne, and they made Alan Wake, and they made whatever that video one was.
Quantum Break.
That's the one.
They made the 2 Max Payne games with story.
Yeah, and then even with this one, I think it's a little weird situation. I think it's like another team that made the engine for the game, but then they made like the story. But don't quote me on that. That may or may not be true. But yeah, it's a very interesting game. The game throws you right in the middle of the story, it seems like, without much context.
Yeah, like it starts with her walking into the building.
Yes, and I think there's suicide within the first few minutes that's unexpected, and I don't know. It's just the entire game's like very weird, where it's like they purposefully don't give you all the information. They kind of give you, or kind of slowly roll out information for you, and like all the kind of artifacts or the things that you interact with the game are very purposely like kind of like symbolic and like interesting, but it's just a weird game where there's a lot of things set up, but I haven't started to see the payoffs for them yet.
You didn't carry a bottle of ketchup into the building, did you?
Can you do that?
No, it's something from an early note. You cannot bring symbolic or totemic objects, and they make a list, and one of them is a bottle of ketchup.
Oh, I see. I see. The visual style is great. They kind of like, basically you're doing the same combat loop over and over again. But there's a very tangible upgrades in the combat that change the experience a whole bunch, made throughout the game. Specifically, there's like one milestone you get like maybe halfway through the game that completely changes like how you do interact with people in combat. Mm-hmm. And then the level design makes a lot more sense afterwards. But it's for the most part, you alternate between shooting people and throwing items at people with like force abilities, and it's very fun. The throwing items at people, it doesn't require any like twitch precision or anything like that, and it's very satisfying. That's the first thing I upgraded all the way. So that was a lot of fun. Kole, you've played and beat this game?
No, I've played the first little bit of it. I did a Hexcrank first hour about it, and I was really impressed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The character acting's good. They it looks very realistic. I'm not sure how they did it, but it looks similar in the same vein as Kojima's game, where they like use like a very realistic capture of like the actor, and it looks like an actor acting essentially. There's a few cutscenes where it's actual like full motion video or whatever. And what's really fun about that is it's a lot of times it's being projected from a source, and so you can do things like stand in front of the projector and it'll project onto your character, like all that stuff's rendered like correctly. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I love that.
So the only, I guess, like pseudo complaint I have with the game is like, I'm 10 hours in and I don't know what the stakes are fully. Everything's so like kind of confusing still that it's fun, but I don't know like what. It seems a little underdeveloped in points. Like there's a bad guy character, but I've only had like one or two interactions with them, so I don't fully like hate that character or anything like that. Right. There's like a mysterious character. There's a mysterious like fourth wall element where you as a player are a character in this universe, but it's not. I don't know. That part's like ambiguous as well. So it's just a very weird game. I think I'm a couple hours from the ending still. I don't know. So it's definitely like a mixed bag. Like all the characters are really cool, I think. Like because even though I might say they're like underdeveloped, they're all very original, I guess. Yeah. But you just don't have enough time with all of them, I guess. Maybe is a good way to put it. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. Yeah, I don't know.
What's the coolest thing that you threw into somebody?
I tried carrying a radiator for like several stages, but it disappeared when I went into another area. So I was bummed about that. That was a shout out to Radiator Yang in my mind when I was doing it. So there's one thing that's interesting too, is there's like a few spaces in the game that are like Inception-esque, where they kind of play with the orientation of the map, and they're awesome. They're really awesome. But I don't know why it's only in like one or two places then in the game. Like, it seems like you should put that everywhere, but maybe it was like hard to design, or maybe it was like work intensive to do. And then there's one set piece I played last night that was flat out amazing. Like, had the best time with it. But then I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just a weird game. It was a weird place for a set piece. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, big question mark, this game. It's like, it feels like I should really love it, but it has like a lot of elements that are like really great. I just don't know. I don't know where it is. So yeah.
I don't know that I have too many other questions about it, because I've played it, and I don't know, or I've played enough of it to have a good handle on what it asks you to do. So I'm everything that I would ask would just be a spoiler for a game that I intend to play more of. So, yeah.
I know. According to Polygon, which we cite all the time, this was the, I think, second place for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
So it's part of why I was interested in playing it. Yeah, it's not bad. I still need to go back and see all the games that came out last year to figure out if I agree with that or not. But
it's a hell of a list.
Yeah, I think 2020 will probably be better.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like big name games, for sure. Yeah. Anybody else have questions about Control?
No.
Cool.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Let's see. Jala, how about you now?
Okay. So I did a little bit more co-op. I'm sort of trying to get some co-op back in there. I played all of D&D Chronicles of Mystara with Dave and Greg, and that was good. That is a fun and cool game.
Love those. Did you start with Shadow of Mystara, or did you do Tower of Doom?
It's Tower of Doom. Yeah, we did Chronicles of Mystara. Or sorry, Shadow over Mystara, or whatever it is. Something Mystara. That one, we did that one instead of the Tower of Doom. I asked, but because the one that I have the history with is the Mystara one, because that is one. I think I've told this story before, but talking about arcade cabinets made me think of it, because it used to be an arcade cabinet at the gas station closest to my house once upon a time when I was little, and I went over there with a roll of quarters, and by myself I got to the end of the game, and then the end of the game is such a quarter muncher that I died, and I could not, like, I was so sad. And then I finally got another roll of quarters later on, went back, and then the game was gone.
What?
And I never got, like they'd switched it out, and I was like, no. And so I never got to play the rest of that game until it came out on Steam. But anyway, so it's also currently on sale for the Lunar New Year. I don't know how long a sale is good for, so it might not be on sale by the time this episode comes out. But anyway,
what character class did you play as?
I always play the elf or the mage, one or the other. I like magics, so I usually do the elf, because the elf also has a sword.
Yes.
So,
is that the one with the super cheap red dragon boss? Am I thinking of the right one?
Yes, that's the one with the super cheap red dragon at the end.
Yep.
So, also another thing, I forgot to mention it last time when I was talking about PAX South, but Zombie Army 4 is coming out. I didn't stand in line to play it because I'm like, I know I'm going to buy it, so there's no point.
Have limited time on the floor.
Yeah, so Zombie Army 4 is the continuation of the Zombie Army set from the Sniper Elite people. So it is basically Sniper Elite, except kind of Left 4 Dead, where you have co-op with up to 4 players, and you are killing undead and all of that. Zombie Army Trilogy is also on sale right now on the Lunar sale, so I don't know if it's still Lunar New Year sale, so I don't know if it's going to be still on sale now, but I'm going to be playing more of that, and I will want people to play with me. So, definitely, if anybody picks that up, if it's still on sale, pick it up and friend me on Steam. I am Jala-chan in all the places, and then we can play that together the next time I am spontaneously on my computer and ready to play a game. So that's the first thing that I played, which was the Mystara, D&D Mystara game.
Love it.
And yeah, super fun. It was kind of what everybody needed at the time to go beat up some people. So, and then I said that I'd be playing Steins Gate Zero or Wildermyth on a couple of other episodes. Like last week, I was like, oh yeah, I'll play Wildermyth before the next time I'm on, forgetting that I was on this week also.
Yeah.
and then I'd said Steins Gate Zero was going to be one of my next games when we were talking on the Danganronpa episode. But we all know how Jala do. And so I wandered off and played a third thing on a totally different system from either of those games. And so, because Jala. So I played Vaporum. Vaporum is kind of like if BioShock and Legend of Grimrock had a baby. It's a grid-based steampunk dungeon crawler. So you're an amnesiac survivor of a shipwreck, and you take refuge in a giant tower in the middle of the ocean that is full of robots and stuff like that. And, you end up in this super BioShocky looking kind of place, except there is no Atlas. So that's good. I never trusted him. Anyway.
Or any Irishman, really. I'm just leaning into it.
Why are you're leaning into this whole being mean to Ollie thing?
No, he doesn't deserve it. He's such a nice guy.
He's such a nice guy.
I know.
I know he's laughing. I know he's laughing about this, but come on.
Anyway. No, I saw the opportunity for a running joke and I took it. Continue.
And you ran with it. So anyway, this game is also rated like 9 out of 10 on Steam, so it's a pretty well regarded game as well. So basically, you are on a mission to figure out who you are, what this tower is, and what was going on here in the first place. Why are there no people, etc. When you're wandering around, you find audio logs that play while you're moving around, which is again another kind of BioShock thing. Yeah, I know. I'm like, thank God I can move around when this is happening. Thank you. But you also find notes that people leave, like little messages or diaries or something. And you piece together the narrative of what happened from there. And those notes also sometimes tell you about where there might be extra areas. There's like hidden secret passages and stuff like everywhere. They're everywhere. So you have to always pay attention to the stuff that you pick up and also pay attention to your environment pretty avidly to make sure that you can figure out where all the stuff is.
This looks and sounds amazing. I don't know how I never heard of this.
It's great. The main character is also fully voiced, and he actually exerts his personality, and he makes comments about the logs when you find him. Like there's this one where a researcher was going off about the Supreme Bureau, who is the entity that created this tower and is conducting research in it. And he's like, going off about how much he loves it. And then at the end of that log, the protagonist just like, he laughs and he's like, what a nerd. It's like, okay. And I kind of forgot that he had a voice because, it's first person. So anyway.
And in any other game, he would be a cipher.
Yeah, exactly. But I like the fact that he pops up and says stuff every once in a while. Like most of the game is just you wandering around, but every once in a while he'll comment or say something and you're just like, oh, that's neat. And then like that's a way to generate thought or to underline points in the narrative because he'll listen to an audio log and then like he'll make a comment about it. Sometimes it's a comment like, what a nerd or whatever. But other times he's like, so I wonder if I can find, and he just kind of reiterates something that's important that you need to be paying attention to. So it works really well towards the fleshing out of the story. So far, I know that the tower is called the Arx Vaporum. It's in the middle of the Mar Vaporum. And that is because there are vapors that come up from it. Woo!
Okay. But anyway, vapors come up from most bodies of water.
Yeah, but I mean, like, these are special vapors. I don't know why they're special, but they are special. So anyway, the Supreme Bureau made this tower in the middle of the ocean on this island, and they were conducting research into something called fumium, which fumes might have something to do with the vapors. So anyway, yeah,
so
I know
you're
that
saying
it has,
they've got a bad case of the vapors.
Yes, exactly.
I declare.
But,
continue. I'm sorry.
So anyway, yeah, the fumium has adverse effects on people. There were people who went nuts and stuff like that, kind of like, various other chemicals that people were exposed to in the past and didn't know that they were bad for them. And they were just like chilling, like mercury, but anyway.
Yeah, radium.
Yeah. So anyway, some catastrophe happened there. Some big catastrophe happened, and nobody is there anymore. But it's not completely destroyed. It's not like a ruined tower. So you're trying to figure out what is going on. I do not know yet what all is the deal with that. However, I did pull up the website for this game, and they have a blog about the game's development a little bit. There's some installments about the world. So these folks definitely did try to flesh it out a little bit insofar as the story is concerned. There's even some little writings from the point of a historian, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So gameplay wise, you get to select an exo rig at the start, which is basically, that sets your basic stats, is more or less your suit of armor. I'm in a heavy rig with high defense and hit points. So that's cool. Basically, you look like a big daddy.
Cool.
And there's other enemies that look like a big daddy as well. So like this is one of the enemies right here. But anyway, you find all different types of weapons, from the starting crowbar to maces and swords and shields, and guns of all types. You've got pistols, shotguns, rifles, etc. You can kit out your rig with circuits, which are basically plasmids. I've got one that shoots fire, another one that does an electric ground attack, and there's also some buffs, like one that speeds up your melee attacks, another one that increases your accuracy with your gun, and so on. It's got real-time combat, and the enemies that I've encountered so far have been different types of robots, plus one big dude that after I killed him, the main character's like, I don't know if that was actually a person or if that was a robot. I'm not sure. It looks like a guy, but he was in a big suit, just like I was, and he had a big hammer. So I don't know. Anyway,
robots
it's really fun.
Are well known for their use of hammers.
Yes, indeed. So it's really fun so far. It's really well balanced and polished, so it's a good entry overall to the genre, I believe. As somebody who gets into fits of wanting to play a dungeon crawler, this is a solid one to play.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend it. So
stemming back to your time with the Sega CD, Eye of the Beholder.
Eye of the Beholder.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that voice acting is so terrible, but that's part of what makes that game. I was literally just talking about that game the other day.
Yeah.
I was talking about, I'm like, yeah, and that voice acting, man, that voice acting was just the best.
It's an important game.
Yeah, it is.
I have some questions about the play. Is the combat real time or is it turn based?
Yes, it's real time.
Okay,
real
so
time.
it's like a Grimrock. Cool.
Yes. You can be in a menu, and then some shit will be attacking you. So you have to pay attention to what's going on, because it's real time combat. So you need to watch that.
And
but it's not action game, correct? It's still straight RPG.
It's a grid based dungeon crawler. So I mean, like, your attacks and stuff are real time and everything, but you move square by square, so it's not like you can run down the hallway and jump and do all this other stuff. You can't do all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your capabilities are determined by your stats, but
but it's active time, but it's grid based, so that means like there's a slight pause as you move from grid to grid, and your enemy moves one grid when you move one grid. So and unless later on, there might be enemies that are faster than me, and then that will be terrible. But I am not to that point yet where I see something like that.
Yeah. So you are by yourself right now. Is this a game that will give you a party at any point?
There is no party.
Gotcha.
It is just you.
Yeah.
So
I was curious how long the the Grimrock analogy extended, honestly.
Yeah,
because that is something that
also,
like always like wigs me out when I try and play Grimrock, is managing a whole party from first person.
Oh no, there's no party. It's more like BioShock in that regard. It's just you. There's no party. Also, the game is 12 levels long, and I finished 2. I'm somewhere in the 3rd one right now. So that's about where I'm at. I'm not super far into the game. However, this game will have it has enough to it that it will take a while to get through any individual level. So it's not that I haven't put in a decent amount of time. It's just that there's a lot to poke around at.
Yeah.
So
sounds great.
Yeah, it's great. I definitely recommend it. I'm having a lot of fun with it so far, and it is not quite as stressful as like a Grimrock. And it, since you have just you that you're managing for, the entire thing, it does feel a little bit more action oriented, because it's not like, oh God, I've got to toggle all these menus between all these people,
Yeah.
And it is on Steam. I am playing it on Switch, but it is also on Steam.
It seems like it'd be a really good fit for the Switch.
Yeah, it is. It's a great fit for the Switch.
Nice. Vaporum. I'm very happy to know about this.
You should play it. Actually, I should link you to a video of my short defeat of the boss. I did actually.
Yeah.
I put that in the chat. You can go ahead and take a look at that video if you want to see what that combat looks like. So, yeah.
Nice. Cool. Anything else to say about Vaporum?
Nope.
Cool. Anybody else have questions about Vaporum?
No, sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. David, do you want to talk about the games you've been playing?
Yeah, so, kind of like Ben, I've been continuing a little bit of Deep Rock Galactic, continuing the end game. I'm trying to level up the Scout, which is the Ultra Mobility class, which is kind of the polar opposite to my first character. That's the just sit there and unload with a chain gun type of thing.
We have switched classes, by the way, because I upgraded my Scout all the way, but then I switched to the Gunner.
Nice. Very nice. So that's, just been fun, just kind of same old. Maybe a little more interesting is I picked up a game called TemTem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically massively multiplayer Pokemon.
Right. This had a really hyped launch.
Yeah,
I just
really
saw that on. I just saw that advertised on Steam on like the front page.
Yeah,
Tell us about it.
Just entered early access, and it's sort of been a thing where it had kind of it had a really interesting launch in that, it had the whole, queue times and downtime, stuff like that, but had a lot of, very strong communication between the dev team. There's, been a lot of, we've realized we broke something. 1 sec. Gotta go, cycle the server or whatever.
Right.
Oops.
Lots of those sorts of messages. But overall, they've kind of got it to a more stable place. But in terms of gameplay, it's very obviously Pokemon inspired.
I mean, actionably, like you run into random encounters with monsters when you run into the tall grass, and like the battle start animation like starts with the camera down on some grass and then zooms into the thing based on this GIF that I'm looking at.
Exactly. Instead of using Pokeballs, you use cards that contain the Pokemon.
Okay.
It's something that I don't know if maybe this got added in later Pokemon games. All of the battles, you have 2 Pokemon active at a time.
That's the thing they added later for certain like trainer battles.
Okay. So that's now pretty much the standard. They've a little bit adjusted the type system. It's a little bit simplified. There's something like 10 types, I think. Also, somewhat notably is that the starting types are not, fire, water, and leaf. They are crystal, basically martial arts or melee or whatever, and psychic.
Okay.
Which is a little different.
Huh. So like a less apparent rock, paper, scissor in the starting 3.
Right, exactly. And your rival has a digital type Pokemon.
Okay.
Which kind of their thing is they're not weak to any of the types.
Okay. Why isn't every Pokemon digital?
Well, I mean, I think the thing is they're not particularly strong to any of the types, but not particularly weak to them either. Something like that.
Huh.
It's like an interview question. Like, what's your weakness? I have no weakness.
Yeah.
My weakness is interview questions. But yeah, it also, kind of the plot line is, as far as I can tell, it takes place on a whole bunch of islands that are kind of floating in space that each seem to have their own distinct culture. So at least one of them I know is very much like Japanese oriented.
Okay.
And the one you start on seems like maybe it's got a little bit of a Polynesian vibe, although I can't quite tell, how much of that, a lot of, like the way you get around, across the various bodies of water and stuff is, surfboard, and it's a very, very overtly kind of fishing and kind of water oriented culture, I guess.
It's very very Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Maybe
that Sun and Moon took place in the Alola region, which was Polynesian, Hawaiian kind of style. Pacific Islander. Yeah.
That definitely tracks then. So far, one of the interesting things actually is that your starting Pokemon, since it's an MMO, there's no like buy both versions or whatever, or anything of that. So you can just straight up catch more of your starting Pokemon eventually. Mm-hmm. And in particular, as far as I can tell, your starting Pokemon is basically mediocre. So, like, of my current lineup, it's probably actually the one I use least.
Right. So,
I think by far my favorite is there's one. I forget. It's basically it is a platypus. It's Psypat. It's a platypus.
What?
What?
Sorry, it's Psyplat, like Psyduck, but it's a psychic platypus now.
No, and not Psy. Yes, Sai. It's a platypus with a ninja weapon.
Okay, all right,
close one.
Cool. Yeah, no, nailed it.
Yeah, so it's basically a platypus wearing half of a clamshell as like a samurai style helmet with a sai that runs around ninja style and just fights people.
Okay.
So
not terrible.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I've got a toucan, some sort of squirrel creature. I'm trying to think if there's anything else particularly strange I've got so far. I think those are kind of most of it. But yeah, I don't know. Like, so far, I feel like I'm kind of underselling it because it is a very good game. Yeah. However, at the same time, it's kind of hard to say a lot because it is very much Pokemon.
Yeah. So my question would be, what does this gain by being, massively multiplayer? Like, aside from the obvious, social kind of things, what does it do to become anything besides Pokemon with a chat room?
Yeah. So I think, I'm guessing, or at least hoping, that eventually it'll, start supporting a lot of, actual multiplayer battles. I mean, I know that's something that is supported. I guess what I'm saying is I'm hoping that by the end game, that'll be something that's, as approachable as, say, dropping into a game of, Medal of Honor or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think some of it could just be the fact that it's not tied to Nintendo's glacial pace of innovation.
Right.
So, you have to see. The other thing I think it potentially is just the fact that it's, not beholden to, selling game cartridges. So it doesn't have, like I said, the need to create artificial scarcity in terms of like, oh, you can't get this, certain Pokemon or whatever.
Right.
So, couple of other just things that I find kind of entertaining about it. The game's called TemTem, which is their name for the monsters. So lots, just like Pokemon, there's lots of Tem things.
Okay.
My favorite so far being perhaps the fact that the terms and conditions you have to sign when you first start up are the Tem terms.
I thought it was going to be Tems and conditions.
No, not quite that good. That would actually be maybe even better. I'm gonna have to submit that as a suggestion. The other thing that's kind of cool, very LGBTQ friendly.
Okay.
When you create your character, you choose their sex, and then choose what pronouns you want the game to use.
Yeah, so it separates expression from.
Right. And all of the clothing items can be used by any character.
Cool.
And I haven't seen all of these, but just from reading in the forum, I know there are, NPCs that are homosexual, non-binary, and at least one who's like a cross-dresser.
Cool.
Similarly, something that I just find kind of funny is, but it's kind of in that vein is when you drop drop your Pokemon off at the breeding center for the first time, and they give you the tutorial. They point out that if you have to drop off Pokemon of the opposite sex, otherwise they'll have a good time, but they won't make an egg.
Can you still say yes?
I think you can.
Okay, cool. What if I just want them to have a good time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, seems pretty good. I'm interested to see, how it goes with things, in terms of some of the storyline stuff like that. I'm hoping maybe it, will kind of lean into it being to a certain degree a Pokemon knockoff and have some self-awareness.
Are they better? Original idea, do not steal. Yeah. TemTem. Yeah, I was curious about that. I got an email, like Humble really wanted me to go in on it, but yeah.
Why aren't they like the publisher or something?
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad you're having fun with it.
Yeah. I don't know that I have any other questions about it. I'll be curious to hear more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that all you've been playing?
Yeah, it is.
Cool. I'll do mine. So real quick, I finished up Alone in the Dark Inferno.
Oh boy, did you?
I know
Such a bad title.
Jala, I laughed aloud when you said that game sure is, isn't it?
Yeah. It sure is. It is.
Yeah. So the biggest praise that I'm going to offer it, and this is probably the strongest damnation by the faintest praise, is that it builds in a system to skip over the parts of the game that are bad.
Oh,
yeah.
To be fair, it tried to do a lot of different things. Like it has like a flame spreading system. It has a driving
things. Yeah. Yes. Why not try it now in this game? Unprompted with no prior anything, and then nothing following that has anything to do with it either.
Yeah, somebody in the chat might have been Ludwig. If this game had like a saving grace, what would it be? Like, honestly, the variety is impressive.
Yeah.
But like,
it's impressive.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to say about it.
No, it's impressive without being additive is kind of the thing. So when I say you can skip over stuff, you know, this is kind of an early game. It might have been the earliest one that kind of took on the idea of being like a almost like a DVD box set. Or like a real episodic kind of thing. So it is broken up into 8 episodes, and you can like start any one of them. I think you can even just like start on chapter 8 and see how it goes. And each of those episodes
the old
is
Firefly approach.
Yeah, you can mix it up. Obviously, they want you to play it from start to begin or from start to end, not from start to beginning. Although that's probably as far as most people got. But like within that, you can also skip to like different scenes, so like different sequences and stuff. So like, I knew I was going to run into this, you know, because it's a, you know, fairly infamous part of the game. But like when you reach the very end, there's a point where, you know, this game takes place in Central Park. It says, all right, in order to get into the final dungeon, into the final castle here, you need to increase your spectral vision score in order to see these symbols that you need to unlock the door. You have to go around. Suddenly the game is open world. And you have to go all the way around Central Park burning these trees, these roots of evil. And I was
sounds about right.
It's real, it was real tedious. I tried a couple of them and I'm like, guess what? This stream doesn't go beyond this weekend. So I skipped past that and it let me do that, which is good.
Just like the idea, I'm assuming this isn't how it does it, but just like the idea of like you press a button and all of a sudden it switches to like a montage.
It will give you like a last time on to fill you in on what you passed over, which is good.
Does it try to guilt you?
No,
is it like
it doesn't do
for
that.
the slackers in the room?
No, it doesn't kill you at all. It's like literally just like a, you know, last time on a, you know, 1 hour drama show. Which is good. Like, don't guilt me for skipping over the bullshit parts of your game alone in the dark. Yeah. The story and everything is just fucking crazy. The mechanics are all over the place. I'm happy that I got through to the end of it. Oh, the one big thing about it that makes it like really unsatisfying as a video game, most video games, they have a couple of different curves to them, right? There's the difficulty curve where the challenges that the game puts to you get, you know, harder as it goes along, right? Either it throws more enemies at you or tougher enemies or, you know, more difficult situations, etc. But that is matched by either increasing your own skill as a player or increasing avatar skill. At no point do you actually like get stronger in this game. At no point do you get like better weapons. It's not like, okay, I go, you know, playing Resident Evil 1, I go and I fight some zombies and then I get a shotgun and boom, that's good. All of a sudden I feel really empowered and then it throws hunters at me and I'm back at square one, but then I get the Magnum and I can take out the hunters, right?
And then you get the redheads.
in certain versions of the game, but at no point does that happen here. You do not get a better weapon. It's pretty much just like you've got the regular kind of verb set that you have, expansive though it is, and like whatever items they decide to throw at you. At no point do you get more inventory slots. It's just it's a crazily designed game insofar as it doesn't do things games ought to.
Can you imagine, though, with the way they do inventory, like, what would new inventory slots be? Like, you'd, like, pull down your pants or something.
Just a bigger coat, like the coat that Marge wore, the coat that Homer made Marge wear to the candy, the candy convention, with all the pockets and stuff sewed into it. Oh man, like. It's a fucking wreck. I really encourage people to, like, you know, if you don't watch the full thing, you understand it's a lot, but go and look at like the highlights. Coal Mine Canary pulled out some good highlights from the play, showing how broken this game is, or how just how off the wall cutscenes and stuff are. I'm happy that I did it.
I enjoyed the part where you blasted away your friend at the end of the game because they didn't really prompt you well on a choice.
No. Yep.
Indeed.
So, in terms of you know, it being episodic, I feel like the most important question is, how does the episode music stack up to Alan Wake?
Well, there's no episode music.
Oh, weak.
Which is a bummer, and there's no Poe song,
that's
so it
a deal
automatically.
breaker.
Yeah, there's no Poe, there's no Depeche Mode, there's no David Bowie. So it's real hard to make a comparison. Oh well.
I mean, I think there's an obvious comparison. It's just there's an obvious loser.
Oh yeah. It's not playing. It's barely playing in the same space. Oh man. Any other questions about Alone in the Dark? I know Jala and Ben, you were there in the chat for a little bit while I was playing that.
No
I really
questions.
want them to make a multiplayer version of this, just so it can be like Together in the Dark.
You know that they did, right?
Did they call it Together in the Dark?
It's like Alone in the Dark Illumination.
I think I heard about this. Yeah.
It's not good. Steam reviews are mostly negative. So, but yeah, Alone in the Dark Illumination is up there in hilarious game titles.
That's from what I remember, that ranks up there with like the multiplayer Fear game they made.
Did they do one of those, or was it just an oh man,
Yep.
or was it just okay? It wasn't just an expansion.
No, so well, I guess I should say the multiplayer, as in the competitive shooter of Fear, is one of the best ever made. The multiplayer, like co-op PvE Fear game, is just horrible.
That's both Fear 2 and Fear 3, like with the asymmetric co-op that they had. Yeah.
See, eventually they made a spin-off that was like a free-to-play.
Oh.
Yeah. It just wasn't good.
Literally just called Fear Online. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Which, I mean, is good advice. You should definitely Fear Online. But...
Nothing good has come from it, and I include us here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. The other thing that I've been playing, and I don't have an awful lot to say about this, continuing Kole's VR voyage that I've been doing, this time playing on the PSVR. I played Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin.
It's a good name. That's on the other side of Alone in the Dark Illumination.
In the world of Psychonauts, the Rhombus of Ruin is their version of the Bermuda Triangle. Okay.
That seems plausible.
It takes place right after the events of the first game. You are playing as Raz, and you're going on the first mission as a Psychonaut with Mia Vodello and what's his name? Sasha 9, to go rescue the founder of the Psychonauts, or the head of the Psychonauts. And your plane is, it crashes in the Rhombus of Ruin because that's where he's being kept. And you have to use your psychic powers to solve the mystery and, free everybody from the captivity that they're in. What's interesting about this is it is not a platformer like Psychonauts, actually, the main game of Psychonauts is. It is more in the line of a point-and-click adventure. And the thing is, you are playing as Raz, but the way that you get around is by jumping into different people's consciousnesses.
by using his clairvoyance skill from the first game. Like, if you can see a living thing, you can jump into its head and use your powers from their vantage point to either jump into the next thing or, use your levitation to push and pull, or to pyrokinesis things, or even just like do interactions.
That sounds kind of horrifying.
It is.
Sounds perfect for VR, though.
Yeah, it's a real good fit for VR. Although, kind of one of the things that when I'm playing this, I'm like, this is delightful and good, and I think what a lot of people want from Psychonauts, which is the amazing art and writing and voice acting and characters. The real Saturday morning cartoon appeal of it without the platforming. VR is additive. It's cool, especially when you jump into somebody's head and you see their version of the world. It does cool things by kind of changing up what different objects look like, depending on their own particular hangups, etc. It doesn't need to be VR. Like, you could totally just have a version of this where you're playing it from first person and, mousing around. So,
is it VR exclusive?
Yes. Yeah. So that is a real bummer. As I'm playing this, it's like, all right, this serves as an interquel. It is leading up to Psychonauts 2. People love this franchise. You don't just need to be on PSVR to play it. Like, you can play it on PC. It works for Oculus and Vive. But, like, I don't know. That's a pretty high wall to hide your cool, fun, and funny game behind, right? So, like, I'm playing this and I'm having fun, but I'm also annoyed that even though the VR is additive and it is, again, cool and fun, it is not strictly necessary. So, it is not necessary in the way that, like, super hot VR's scenarios make it necessary to be in VR, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, like, the puzzles are cool. It is straight up, like, Double Fine, classic Tim Schafer, funny puzzle design stuff. It's relatively brief, it's like 2 hours, which is perfect.
Oh, wow.
It's, just like, it's a sitting and you get a cool, fun Saturday morning cartoon story. And I was real happy to, be spending time with these characters and these voice actors again.
I've not played any of the games in this series, but my understanding was that the first game, you jump into someone's head and it would overtly be like a level.
Yes.
It sounds like with only 2 hours, like, it's not that way this time around.
No, it's the way that they get around making you navigate in 3D space, right?
Okay.
So, most games would have you teleport. You just drop a circle where you want to move to, and then you would look around from there. Here, they've got characters in the world. In this case, because you're underwater, you're going to be jumping around between a lot of fish. And then, like, finding the way to get to the next point of interest is part of the puzzle of the game, and they have you do some inventive stuff like trying to find the thing that you can jump into, but it is not like discrete levels that you're getting into. Individual characters that you're trying to save, like, those are the people who are kind of in a psychic fugue state because of some kind of mineral that makes the Rhombus of Ruin act like it does. And that is what causes the world to look different from their eyes when you're trying to save them and make them snap out of it. But no, you're not going into, like, the Milkman conspiracy or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's get down to brass tacks. How much does it cost?
I got it on sale. It was like $3.
Too much.
$3 for 2 hours. That was fine. Oh man, I think that it's like $10 if you buy it. If you buy it regular, which everybody draws their own line for that. But yeah, I'm trying to see, because now you have me curious. Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin for the PlayStation 4, $20. I would wait for it to go on sale. It's real neat, but yeah, a 20. There's lots of cool stuff you can get for that lasts longer. And I'm not normally the kind of person who makes that kind of prescription at the start.
Yeah, you can buy the movie Heat.
Yeah, you could.
It's a good movie. It's disappointing.
3 hours, 50% more. Yeah.
It's disappointing though. They advertise it as, Pacino and De Niro together, but it's only like one scene.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Made a good video game though.
Heat?
Yeah.
Yeah, the signature movie, Heat Signature.
Oh,
it's like
okay.
No, I was thinking Payday is just straight up like how close can we get to being Heat without getting sued?
Yeah. I want the video game version of The Inside Man. That's a good movie.
The part where you're just like alone in a room by yourself.
Where you're just waiting with the diamonds.
Just do push-ups, yeah.
Any other questions about Psychonauts and the Rhombus of Ruin?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
But I guess the next one's going to have like a 5-sided shape.
No, it's going to be Psychonauts too. So it's going to be back to a coin.
All right.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. I was the person who asked the question this time. What I put to the audience was, think back to your childhood. What cartoon or other kind of show from your youth would you like to see adapted into a modern video game? And what would it be like? Bonus points if it hasn't already been made into a game. I'm not actually awarding people's points. I just, if somebody said,
no, we keep track of these things. It's kind of like the China, the like citizenship score.
Oh, that extremely horrifying concept that actually exists. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, let's hear David. What does Ollie say?
Ollie says Centurions. It was a cartoon made specifically to sell toys. 3 characters, sea, air, and land-based soldiers. They could add a bunch of attachments to help with any given mission, heavy weapons, stealth, etc. Basically, it might as well be custom-made to turn into a Rainbow Six-style squad shooter.
I like that. Asymmetric squad, class-based. Oh, I've never heard of it. Did that come to America?
So I watched it on Cartoon Network as a kid.
Cartoon Network was weird in the 90s.
Yep.
Not in a bad way. Just they did pull stuff in from different markets. Yeah. And Ollie, by writing about Centurions, helped Rookie actually identify what this was. They remembered it from their childhood. And now they can put a name to it. Yeah. More class-based, squad-based shooters, please. Yeah. Let's hear Jala. What does Casey say?
Casey says, Codename Kids Next Door. It did have a PS2 game and some amazing Flash games online, but I would have loved an open world RPG game with a banjo nuts and bolts style vehicle creator, cover based shooting, and Gears of War style horde wave modes.
This is also, I didn't realize that this is what it would do to me. But like when somebody comes in here with something like Codename Kids Next Door, like, oh boy, there are young people in the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Codename Kids Next Door was not necessarily like too far beyond my time, but like it's enough. It's kind of like a Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh divide, a little bit. But yeah, I only know Codename Kids Next Door from taking in the PS2 game on trade. But more stuff in the...
I don't know anything at all about it.
But more banjo nuts and bolts is welcome. So I would welcome this. Yeah, I would recognize this. I would allow it to be. Fuck me. Ben, what does Chris say?
This is your world, Kole. We just live in it.
Jesus.
Kole is a monster.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Final Cut, so it's kind of like that. All right, Christopher says, I watched the original when I was a kid, and it also has a current revival on Netflix. I want some She-Ra as a third-person action RPG. I'll take that right now, please.
That'd be good.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Do it as like a God of War style thing. I'd be down for that.
So this was something that somehow my childhood just 100% missed. What is this?
She-Ra is.
She-Ra?
It's kind of it was the made for girls version of He-Man.
He-Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by made for
He-Man
girls,
and
like
She-Ra.
functionally really similar, like basically the same show. So there was no reason for it to be gendered. But yeah.
But boy, I was very much not into She-Ra because I was upset that they had to give her like a Pegasus or something, and she had like little wings on her head and all this other crap. I'm like, what is this crap? And she looks like, I don't know. It was just too girly, and I was very upset that they were gendering it so much. I mean, like, granted, He-Man is like uber dude in a loincloth or whatever, but I mean, you know,
She-Ra can have a tiger too.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I was just like, why can't she have, like, you know, why she's got to have a horse? Well, a girl and her horse all the time. Okay, I know Autumn exists, but not every girl is obsessed with horses as a child. So,
right.
You know?
Oh, man. Lindsay says, Thundercats in the style of a beat 'em up with RPG elements, please. I want to be able to level everyone, and as you progress and beat the game, you can unlock bad guy mode. Heck yeah, that sounds good to me.
Me too.
As
Make
long
it happen.
as long as it's not the remake version, that's just an abomination.
I've not seen the remake. I don't know what
Me
it is.
either.
Yeah.
Oh, look it up sometime.
Huh.
That sounds like a threat.
Yeah, I think even as a kid, when I looked at Thundercats, I thought, that's a little too horny for me, actually. I'll be over here with David the Gnome.
David the Gnome was cool, too.
You know, I'll just be over here with this sexless elderly main character.
I'm going to watch Alvin.
Oh, man. David, what does Joshua say?
Joshua says, Ronin Warriors. Not sure if there's a game, but I don't recall one. I feel like it would have fit well as a side-scrolling beat-em-up with experience progression to unlock skills and such. Looking at games like Dragon's Crown as a general feel. I don't think the show was hugely successful, but I remember watching it alongside Dragon Ball and Reboot on Toonami. Simpler times.
Huh. I never heard about this. I would have been watching Dragon Ball and Reboot on Toonami around the same time, but like the ones that I would remember, this very much has the look of like a mid-90s shonen show. I would have been like Outlaw Star or the Big O.
Yeah, it's literally like probably the most made to be a video game thing I've ever seen, to the point where like when the characters do their like ultra move, there is like kind of a freeze frame with like, you know, the name of the move. Like it looks like something from like a I don't know, whatever the PS1 era of like Dynasty Warriors would have been.
Dynasty Warriors, yeah.
Was Dynasty Warriors for PS1?
Yeah. They're I think the first two were for PS1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then basically that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had no idea about Ronin Warriors. Let me see here. Jala, what does Greg say?
Greg says, I always wondered why we never got a MacGyver game. I loved that show as a kid, and it seems ripe for a game where you solve quests or problems or quests by pulling the solutions out of your ass, just like on the show. There is a MacGyver character in Broforce. That's about all I can say.
Yeah. You should look up and play McPixel. That is a game that is inspired by the SNL MacGyver takeoff character MacGruber, but it is like a one screen adventure game with a strong time limit. Kind of basically like what if an adventure game was also WarioWare.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like that's a question we should ask ourselves more. You know, what if it was also WarioWare? You know, like presidential election. What if it was also WarioWare?
Yeah, what if the election was like WarioWare instead of giving us a president who is literally fucking Wario?
Press A to vote.
Jesus Christ. Whoops, democracy's gone. Let's see here. That was you, Jala. Ben, what does Roop say?
Roop says Count Duckula, just some kind of mix of Castlevania and Little Devil could be the right choice. Platforms and a big castle to explore. Also, Darkwing Duck needs another chance.
Do a Darkwing Duck in the Arkham engine.
That would be amazing.
So I, once upon a time as a child, I dressed for Halloween as Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all about that.
I could see that. Do that and really lean into like the noir writing.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Well, one of the things that was frustrating about working with animators is like talking fondly about Darkwing Duck or DuckTales, basically like late 80s, early 90s, Disney show, and them saying like, oh yeah, that's garbage Disney. I'm like, you bite your tongue. Next thing I know, you're going to be talking trash about Robin Hood, and they're like, ooh, and I'm like, ooh.
So what were they advocating?
They were like more into Disney in the 50s and 60s.
I was going to say the old ass Disney is what they're into.
Yeah, they're more into the old ass stuff. Yeah. No. Let's see here. Dulce says, I totally loved Sagwa, the Chinese Siamese cat. I don't think it had a game, and I would have been really happy to play that when I was a kid. I don't know what this is.
I don't know.
Let me put this into the Google machine here. I feel like I've seen this a little bit, but I'm unaware. Educational Chinese Canadian American animated series based on a picture book. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. I can't comment further because I don't know, but it's a cool design.
But Mr. Poof would have competition. That's her kitten.
Oh. That is her kitten. Yes. Oh, they could coexist. I don't know anything about it.
You've clearly never seen cats before.
Yeah, no, coexisting is kind of the thing they specifically don't do without a lot of work. Let's see here. David, what does Kian say?
Kian says, Samurai Jack, please, was made into a PS2 game, but can't remember if it was any good. And as Casey points out, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Although, as he also points out, and I feel like there's a kindred spirit because he mentions it for Codename Kids Next Door, there's a brief period of time where Cartoon Network's website had amazing Flash games, both for that Codename Kids Next Door and for Samurai Jack.
Mm-hmm. Flash games are good. I am sad that they're going away. What's that, Joel?
Oh boy, that Thundercats reboot.
Yeah,
oh boy,
that the pulling a style like right out of Steven Universe. I could see why people would be. I like it. It doesn't preclude it from being a good show. It would just be a different show.
Yeah. That's not the thing I signed up for.
Yeah. Let's see. So Samurai Jack would like weirdly make a good Souls-like.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that's not just me being me. Like that show, its tone and general sparseness of narrative, and kind of the pace of the fight would be very would be apropos.
Well, and especially like it did a series kind of interspersed throughout its run. It did a couple of like what if kind of style episodes, and a lot of them were very much more overtly fantasy and much darker.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I could definitely see that.
It's a good show. Jala, what does Patrick say?
Patrick says, a lot of the cartoons I watched as a kid are already games. TMNT, Transformers, DuckTales, and Rescue Rangers. That made this a little harder for me, but then I remembered MASK. This would probably make a cool vehicle combat game.
I imagine this is not the cartoon based on the Jim Carrey movie. Oh, okay. Weird. So MASK, an acronym for Mobile Armored Strike Command. Command is spelled with a K. Cool. It's an animated television show overview. It was a special task force led by Matt Tracker, going after the organization Venom. Yeah, no, they drove cars and stuff. Yeah, car combat has gone away. Bring car combat back.
Don't worry, we're not that far away from Mad Max becoming our reality.
But I mean, we can get some practice in ahead of time.
It's just more refined now. We do Rocket League. We don't have to fight one another. We just play soccer with one another.
Yeah. Every single Rocket League driver would have terrible, terrible broken necks.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't mean to, you know. Let's see here. That was you, Jala, who did Patrick. So, Ben, what does Steven say?
Steven says, and humanoids would have made a fun game. I'd make it as a 2D Monster Hunter sort of game, switching between side-scrolling, top-down view, and Metroidvania gameplay elements.
I'm learning a lot. Like, I'm learning about shows and properties that I never knew before. And David, you've put in a hilarious cover which shows a woman, presumably one of the women in humanoids, wearing armor that just straight up has half orbs where her boobs would go.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hey, gotta get that boob plate just completely literal.
And then we'll finish out here with Rookie, who writes, Quantum Leap would be a great excuse to make a Bobo's Big Adventure style game, where every level was an homage to a classic game from each console generation. You can leap back to the NES days and play a 2D platformer, then you leap to the 360 generation or PS3 generation and play a generic military first-person shooter with questionable racial implications. Then leap to the 32-bit era for a mediocre 3D platformer with a failed wannabe mascot animal like Willy Wombat or whatever. I love the or whatever, the dismissiveness for that. You can set right what once went wrong, like camera controls, the move to 3D graphics on the PS1, and the death of the Dreamcast. Prevent Link from failing in Ocarina of Time to stop that pesky third timeline from existing, and save Sega as a hardware manufacturer. Okay, maybe not the last one. Damn you, it would be the... No, he needs to save Sega. That's where everything went wrong.
To be fair, as a side note, if you want something that's kind of like this, is actually a pretty good game, check out Eat Lead, The Return of Matt Hazard.
Yeah, Dennis likes that game. He's talked about that. Yeah.
You can also check out the game The Hex as well.
Oh, yeah. Rookie did an edit here. Oh, wow. I made up Willy Wombat as the dumbest possible mascot name and animal combo, but I just Googled it, and it was an actual Saturn game. Fun.
It would be a Saturn game.
All of the skills and innate qualities of a wombat, such as always growing throughout your life and pooping cubes.
So, for more just random thoughts from this, for a more direct translation of Quantum Leap, that would actually make a surprisingly good like text-based adventure game.
Oh yeah.
And then also with Steven's previous answer, I now realize the degree to which I want a demake of Monster Hunter. Like a old school GTA except Monster Hunter would be awesome.
Yeah. No, Quantum Leap would be amazing. I don't even know what kind of game I would want it to be. Like, Rookie's pitch is good, but I don't know. I've got a lot of affection for that story.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll do mine. My answer is real short. Like my inspiration for putting this up was like reading about Dragon Ball Kakarot, which is basically just a game-wide retelling of Dragon Ball Z, which I'm feeling real nostalgic for and might buy. But no, for me, what I would like to do, and I've had this in my head for a while, make Inspector Gadget into a Deus Ex game.
Oh, that would be fun.
Cool.
Yeah, because like Inspector Gadget's backstory is basically Deus Ex Human Revolution. Like he was in a terrible accident and they put a bunch of hardware in him and he is more machine than man. But yeah, to have, mission control be Penny, to have Brain running around with you, helping you out, as your option. But to do that as like a event crawler where you're doing like very short missions, to make a kind of kid oriented or like not as gritty or mature
version of an 0451 or immersive sim, I think that would fucking own bones, actually.
Yeah.
And as like,
I never go asked for this, Penny.
but you could pick pick upgrades, and all of your augmentations could be as over the top and Acme like as everything else, and you're trying to undo Dr. Claw's kind of stuff. Like I like this. If I say Inspector Gadget as Deus Ex, it sounds like a joke, but I actually think it would rule. So I am 100% serious about it.
I feel like it could very much be kind of a sleeper thing, in that, by which I mean, like, it could be one of those games where you could make a very, very kid-friendly game that actually had a lot of depth in terms of, say, pull in some of the the Rockstar detective game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, L.A. Noire.
Yeah, like pull in some of that, like, actual investigation mechanics, those sorts of things.
Yeah. Like like literally the only thing that would get in the way of this being as good as it could be is the fact that Don Adams died 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not planning on attaching Matthew Broderick and Rupert Everett?
Pale imitations. Yeah. That's my answer. I'm just very, very excited about that idea. David, how about you? What would you bring?
So I think probably, if I was going to really say it, I'd have to go with Samurai Jack. That was kind of my core childhood thing.
It's really good.
However, since that's already been taken, I don't know. I think a close second, although I don't know how it would be a game, but there just needs to be more of this, is Big O.
Oh, yeah.
Because Japanese Batman is just amazing. For something maybe a little off there, it wasn't really as much a part of my childhood, but a lot of my friends, particularly when I was down in Alabama, the people I did steampunk with were huge fans of the old G.I. Joe cartoons and then comics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things where I think, like, a lot of these, if you could thread the needle between, like, updating it to be, kind of appeal to an adult audience, that sort of thing, without going so far that just became, super, super grimdark, I think you could actually make a really great game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Jala, how about you?
I've got another weird answer. So when I was growing up, one of the cartoons that I liked best was actually a movie. It was Flight of Dragons, a Rankin and Bass production. I love that movie, and I can quote the entire damn thing. I made Dave watch it. Like, it's a thing. So in that story, for people who do not know anything about it, basically as this wackadoodle thing where there is this age of magic that happened a long, long time ago. There's dragons and fairies and the four magic brothers. And this world is being threatened by mankind's advances in science. And because people are becoming more logical, they are relying on logic and then no longer seeing magic and no longer believing in magic, and thus weakening magic's ability to do anything. Okay. So the four magic brothers want to basically create a sealed off realm, or rather three of them want to create a sealed off realm where magic can be preserved and basically come to people in flashes of inspiration and in dreams and things like that to continue to inspire mankind, but from a separate place. Mm-hmm. And the fourth magic brother, Omadon, who's voiced by James Earl Jones, cool. He is like, hell no, I'm going to use logic and science to destroy man. And so there's your adventure hook, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He also says, I am definitely not Sauron.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, and then what happens is that the four magic brothers, or rather the three of the magic brothers that are against the evil one, end up pulling a guy from the future, Peter Dickinson, who wrote a book called Flight of Dragons about how dragons might have breathed fire and how they might have flown and things like that. He's just obsessed with that. He's just a writer guy. And there is actually a writer named Peter Dickinson who actually wrote a book called Flight of Dragons. And so, like, this story basically mashed together characters and a world and a setup from a series of books that started with one book called The Dragon and the George, and then took Peter Dickinson and just like made their own narrative out of it. And basically, Peter Dickinson is dragged by the Magic Brothers back into this fantasy realm to become their hero to defeat Omadon. And during this process of like getting acclimated to what's going on, in this magic realm, he ends up like a spell goes wrong and he ends up switching bodies with this dragon. And so now you've got a dragon with the mind and heart of 20th century man. Mm-hmm. And he's got to lead them as a dragon who doesn't know how to fly or breathe fire or be a dragon. To go on this quest, and he's got a bunch of people to go with him and everything. So it would be a really great epic CRPG or even an action RPG. I could see that being definitely a thing. I could even see it being like a crazy mission-based co-op kind of thing, but I think it would work best as, like a massive scale RPG where you could really sink your teeth in.
Yeah.
But
or your fangs.
It's a really fun. Yes, indeed.
As a dragon. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So, anyway, I definitely recommend that people go and watch that. You can get it. I don't know where else it's available, but you can go and rent it on Amazon for like a couple of bucks. And don't look at the cover art. I don't know who did it, but that is absolutely not what anything looks like. I don't know who they contracted for that cover art, but it's terrible.
It's real cheesy.
It's terrible. Like, go look at actual screenshots of the movie, and it's gorgeous, though.
Yeah.
Just don't look at the cover art.
Yeah,
but anyway, that's my
Rankin
answer.
Bass are not slouches.
Yeah, exactly.
It also teaches children a very important lesson, which is that science ruins everything.
That is a hippie-ass narrative.
It is super awesome because at the end of the movie, there is this showdown between Peter Dickinson and Omadon, and Omadon is like, turning into a hydra and breathing fire at him, and he is protected by the magic bubble of science, and he says science words at the guy, and he's like, oh, and then he dies. It's great.
Yeah. You bury the lead, Jala. The main character is voiced by John Ritter.
Yes, there's also that as a thing. I mean, like I said, there's some really awesome voices and stuff that are in, voice actors that are in here. The soundtrack is amazing. The animation is amazing. It's worth watching. So it's one of my absolute favorite movies even now, even though it's an animated movie. So that's my thing.
Nice.
Did you ever watch the old like rotoscoped Lord of the Rings?
Hell yes, I did.
Yeah, of course.
That was amazing, and I don't think it was that one. I think it was the Fellowship of the Ring where Aragorn was, or not Aragorn.
Aragorn.
Yeah, sorry. No, the Legolas. Yes,
Legolas.
Thank you.
Yes.
Legolas is voiced by C-3PO.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that all of that is very much worth your time if you've never seen it before.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it's it is must see, although it is very boring if you try to watch it now. and you're looking at it for more than the animation quality.
This is true.
I don't know. I feel
true.
like you just get like a contact acid trip from it.
Take some edibles and then fire it up a half hour later. Then you're fine. And
define fine, by the way.
Anyway, hey Ben,
take some edibles and then define fine.
Ben, what? How about you?
I would do the X-Men animated series where you kind of like go out on missions and switch out between characters. I think that'd be sweet. Yep. And X-Men, as I remember it, not as it probably is. I haven't gone back and watched it in a while, so I don't know how it's aged, but
it's really inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that's still, I don't know, still an important part of my childhood. So it's hard to throw it all down.
Song, man. Once you hear the theme song, you'd freak out. That's
really,
all.
Really primes you. Yeah.
Makes you think of deep dish personal pizzas at Pizza Hut as well. Since you buy the VHS through that.
Oh man, the Pride of the X-Men, which I watched until the tape wore out. Yeah. Oh man, thank you everybody for going down this going down memory lane with us.
Hole. Yeah.
Good answers here, one and all, and also learning about stuff that I didn't know about before. With your mercenaries, not mercenaries. I lost it. Inhumanoids. There we go. If you would like to participate in these in the future, go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast. The End Boss. Now it is time for the End Boss, where we talk about things that are exciting to us in the world of video games. I'm going to do mine first because it is related to current events. Probably not worth getting apocalyptically scared of it, but there is a new flu on the scene. Coronavirus. People are suffering because of it, either because of being under a quarantine or actually being infected. It sucks. In the media,
causes you to binge drink crappy beer.
Corona has a time and place. But yeah, to make this related to video games, to not be a complete bummer, it's a little bit weird. I don't know that when Endemic Creations made Plague Inc., which is a very good game that I've talked about plenty in the past. It's a management sim where you play as different kinds of infections trying to take over the world and wipe out mankind. I don't know that they foresaw that for basically a decade after they made it, that people would start playing the game and trying to simulate real world diseases in order to draw conclusions about how it might spread. So every few years when there is an outbreak, some things happen. Plague Inc. gets really popular. Lots of people buy it. During the 2014 Ebola outbreak, they saw a 50% rise in downloads. And here recently, when the coronavirus kind of started making the news, so many people bought it that the game went offline. It overloaded their servers. But Endemic basically came out and said, and they've actually worked with the CDC in the past, warning people that, hey, even though we applied some rigor in trying to make the infection model realistic, and there are lots of different factors that are played in, like the the difficulty level is determined by how much people wash their hands. They model it down to kind of that level of granularity. They say, however, please remember that Plague Inc. is a game, not a scientific model, and that the current coronavirus outbreak is a very real situation which is impacting a huge number of people. We would always recommend that players get their information directly from local and global health authorities. So I'm not bringing the story because I think anybody in the audience is going to Plague Inc. to learn about the Wuhan coronavirus. I am more kind of just giving that developer an attaboy for being responsible with the perception of their game. Being responsible and proactive.
Well, here's the thing. It's a thing where, I work in insurance. I can tell you that, it is a possibility that somebody can be like, I played this game and then I thought that this was going to happen, and then they could end up suing the game company for their misconception of everything because they played this game. So it's also to cover their own ass in case of legal issues, because that is a very real issue that they could have. Yeah. So
liability is crazy.
Yeah, I think there also could be, from a more maybe positive side, a dynamic of, people talk about how a lot of the kind of disaster movies of the Cold War era that, depicted, nuclear war were a big part of allowing average people to kind of understand those issues and, have a way to conceptualize them. And I could see Plague Inc. really serving that role for, kind of the work that the CDC and World Health Organization does.
Yeah. Yeah, this developer has actually given talks at CDC conventions and events, to talk about this as a tool to teach public about outbreaks and disease transmission. It's a really good and fun game if you can get over the dark subject matter. It is a fantastic management sim insofar as that's what it is. But yeah, it sucks that it kind of keeps popping back up into the news because of how sickness works.
Yeah. Well, and just like all management sims, the eventual goal is that there'll be nothing left to manage.
Oh man. Let's hear, Jala, what's Atari doing?
So Atari is creating several branded video game themed hotels in the US. The first one is going to be in Phoenix, with additional locations in Las Vegas, Denver, Chicago, Austin, Seattle, San Francisco, and San Jose. These hotels that they're building, if you look at the outside of what they're planning, they're basically wanting the lights on the outside of it to look like the Atari logo. And I don't know how they're supposed to do this, but the hotels are going to utilize VR and AR, in the hotel itself, with certain locations also including venues to accommodate esports events. So you sigh, but I actually think that this is a pretty smart move on their part, because if they can start holding esports events there, this could really take off as a thing potentially.
I sighed before I heard the esports part.
And it allows them to bank on the nostalgia for the older folks, but also catering simultaneously to newer innovations in gaming, with the VR, the AR, and esports stuff. So depending on the cost, I actually would be interested in going and checking one of these out just for the hell of it, honestly. So, this is kind of neat. And could you imagine if there was an esports event? I'm not even into esports, but if there was an esports event at an Atari hotel with all this other stuff in it, I would want to go and check it out. I mean, it would be interesting as a venue, and also it would be a draw for something that I, kind of have a tangential interest in. But I would go just for the entire thing, the whole thing. It's not just a standard ass hotel or a standard ass, venue, but specifically made for this kind of thing. So
yeah, I would definitely stay at a joust themed hotel. Also, dropping some edibles and then going to a IMAX showing of Asteroids would be pretty awesome.
Well, I want to know what they're going to be doing with VR and AR exactly, but I mean, there's no telling. The article doesn't say, and it's cursory information. They're planning it. They have announced it. They have not, to my knowledge, they have not started building. So
yeah.
I'm going to steal Kole's line and say, how are they going to clean the VR headsets? Because that's a big factor.
Autoclaves? I don't know. I really don't. Yeah. I think the thing that made me sigh when Jala was kind of reading this out was, part of running a business like this, especially when it comes to real estate or hospitality, is projecting confidence. If they came out and said, yeah, we're going to try this in Phoenix and see how it goes, they probably wouldn't get people interested in investing. But if they say, oh, we're going to be all over the Western Seaboard, then it would it just that idea that we're going to be in Las Vegas and Denver and San Francisco, that all just seems to be puffery. Whereas the actual idea of it, there is, at least precedent for hotel-wide AR games. Great Wolf Lodge is a chain of hotels that also have indoor water parks that have themed games that they run throughout the actual hotel itself that are themed after magician kind of things. There is precedent for this, and there is cultural cachet for Atari. I was just sighing because of it seemed like they are much like the Atari of the early 80s, there was it seems like a cocaine idea. It seems like a cocaine idea to me.
To be fair, wasn't the early 80s the last time Atari made anything worth playing?
I mean, they Atari has been attached to good games, but not in the form that they were in the 80s.
Yeah.
Also, Cole, I don't know if you can knock cocaine ideas and also like Stephen King.
See, that's also the thing.
Yeah,
but
that was one of his more popular cocaine ideas.
No, Stephen King didn't have anything to do with the thing. Oh man, yeah, I can't knock cocaine ideas as a broad thing, but I don't. I wish them luck. Let's just say that I wish them luck, and I would not turn away a stay at one of them if anybody is writing checks.
Well, see, without the esports part of it, I'm like, I don't know if that's going to work. But then with the esports part tacked onto it, it's like, that actually might work. You know, that will be something that I would be interested in seeing potentially at some point.
Yeah. Nice. Let's see here, David. You posted a bunch of stories here. I'm gonna have you do your thing. What's going on?
Yeah, so a lot of these are kind of just some quick hits. The Royal Mail, which from the completely incomprehensible currency markers, I think means the UK's mail, is releasing a series of video game themed stamps. So I guess that's a thing.
Cool.
Also, the Washington Post declared Ghost Recon Breakpoint as the worst game of the year. So, it won at least one award.
Cool.
I'm glad to know that democracy's not dying in darkness, and we also know what the worst video game in the world is. So.
Yeah, so am I the only one that every time I read the Washington Post, I feel like, democracy dies in the darkness is sounding less and less like an aspirational motto and more like a dire prediction?
More like a threat.
That's a guarantee, Ghost Recon can't be the worst game that came out. Maybe the worst publisher, the worst big publisher game, but...
I did have one, this is completely going off the rails, but one observation from my time playing Ghost Recon that I never got a chance to comment on in the show.
Okay.
One of Dennis I's running jokes at one point was the idea of someday writing and producing Action the Musical.
Okay.
Just, a musical to be like the most cliche, action movie of all time.
Okay.
And, discussing, the various musical numbers about these, action motifs, that sort of thing. I think Ghost Recon, made me realize a additional one, which is what I would define as tactical walking, which is just the fact that, Ghost Recon's basically a cover shooter, but has automatic snap to cover. So just like as you're walking from place to place, just trying to get somewhere, your character is constantly just like doing like SWAT style, like stacking up on doors before going in and like, running in a crouch to like slide behind a desk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's hilarious to watch.
Yeah, I would call that assassinating down the avenue after a line in a Wilco song.
Yeah, exactly. Then just real quick, last story, a Portland man, because of course Portland man, was basically found in the airport having unhooked one of the monitors that tells people where to go to get on their flights, and plugged in his PlayStation 4.
Why not?
And
this is scary.
Began to play.
No, this appears to be a black man. It's been a while since I've seen Gary.
couple of months. I don't think it's him.
So I think my favorite quote from this was in terms of the authorities' description of when they asked him to stop. They said, quote, "Apparently it was a very polite and cordial interaction, a good reminder of what not to do at the airport." Which I feel like they maybe didn't quite mean to say what they thought what they actually said.
Yeah, be as belligerent as possible at the airport. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Gotcha. Ben, round us out.
Yeah, I got a tiny story about people commentating on something else.
Okay.
There's just a video that I watched over this week where it was game developers of The Outer Worlds watching a speed run of the game, a speed run where they beat the game in 12 minutes. Wow. And so it was them trying to reverse engineer how that worked and how the player was doing what they were doing. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting, and it's a short watch. But like some of the tricks that are interesting is they don't really care about what they're doing as they're leveling up. Like, they're not taking many feats. The only feat they take, I think, is increased movement speed, and they increase dialogue at one point. Yeah. But there's some interesting things where there's one part on the first planet that you're in. They shoot two people outside of a building, which seems to take up some time, which is kind of curious. Then they go in the building, flip some switches, come out, go back in, and then divert power to a place. And the reason why they went back outside and went back in is that clears a combat flag that prevents you from going on computer terminals. And so there's like small things like that where it took them a while to figure out, the people watching the video, took them a while to figure out what they were doing. The other thing that was interesting that I didn't know was an ending in the game is apparently there's a low int ending of the game. Yay. Where there's a part where you jump a ship, like you're through hyperspace, like in Star Wars. And if you have a very low int and try to do this, you go directly into the sun and it ends the game. And apparently that's a canonical ending. They consider that an actual ending to the game. So that's how they ended the speed run. Not to say they were like 90% of the way through the game anyway, but so it's not to like say that they cheated or anything, but it's pretty funny. Yeah. So
that genre of developers reacting to implausible speed runs of their own game is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I mean, David brought a story about the one screen platformer guy who like I think he listens. I'm not sure. Maybe he was looking for was just kind of searching for it. I have no idea. But yeah, the article that he wrote about his about basically watching people break his game apart like they were Bane and the game was Batman. Always entertaining. Yeah. Cool. Well, that sounds like a segment to me. That sounds like a show. How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
Buttons.
The credit. Thank you so much for listening to this level number 314. We really appreciate you taking the time and being here. This
is the pie episode.
It is the pie episode, isn't it? I was thinking more. There's a state route 314 near where I live. That's a major one. So I was a little bit more of my own reality about that than general thing. I wasn't thinking about circles. No, I'm trying to think of like things that we can promote. If you would like to meet me and Gary at the very least, you can come out to the Midwest Gaming Classic. We're going to be there in Milwaukee from April the I think 2nd, basically the weekend of April the 2nd through the 4th. We're going to have a meetup there. We're doing a live show with Retronauts. It's going to be a good time. Cool. We've been there for a while. We've been doing that for a few years. So if you're in the area, we welcome you to come out. Do not be afraid to approach our table. I, at least, will be very kind and welcoming to you. I cannot guarantee what Gary will do.
They kind of do the good cop, bad cop thing.
Yeah, we both just smile politely. is mostly what we do. But otherwise, there's the regular stuff. You've got the Patreon. You've got Apple Podcast ratings and reviews. Telling your friends, and most of all, coming back next week. Is there anything that I'm forgetting? Okay. So I've been Kole Ross. You can watch my streams on Twitch at Duckfeed.tv.
I've been David Mysmith. It's kind of an off-on type of thing.
I am always Jala-chan in places.
I'm Ben Merkel, and you can watch Kole stream on Duckfeed.tv.
And stick around for some titles. Okay, who's got some?
I have a few.
Okay, Jala?
It sure is, isn't it? I know I said it, but come on.
It's a good one.
I like
It's a good one. I never asked for this.
Okay.
Contact acid trip.
Okay.
And that's also the thing.
Okay.
So I had two. The first one, strictly speaking, was not set in this form. This was kind of an interpretation. So, judge that as you will. But it's play it from start to beginning.
I have from start to beginning also. I know I wrote that down. I know I said it, but yeah. Okay.
And then I had down the nostalgia hole.
Okay. Ben, what you got?
This is a weird week. We all have different titles. I have Psychic Fugue State.
Okay.
I have Perpetual Dumpster Fire. I have My Weaknesses Interview Questions. And I have Terms and Conditions.
I kind of like Terms and Conditions, just saying.
Terms and Conditions is pretty good. The one that we all laughed at was It Sure Is, isn't it?
That's also good.
Does anybody have any concerns about it being It Sure Is, isn't it?
Sure is, isn't it?
Jala?
Do I win this week?
I mean, it's not a competition.
It is.
It's a competition.
Okay, I don't really say jokes, so I almost never am the reason that there is a title.
Uh-huh. It's all
unless
a team
I'm
effort.
Quoting
like
somebody else. I know, but it's like a great joy to my life when I'm actually the reason that the title is the thing. And
I didn't
know. I play kind of the meta game. My favorite is when I'm the reason the title is the thing, but I didn't say the title.
Yeah.
Well, see, like the last couple of times, it's been like something that I've said, but it's not my words; it's somebody else's words.
Right, exactly.
Or whatever.
Yeah. That's what I go for. I want to be the instigator.
You want to be like the second bump in the volley guy?
Yep.
Instigator was a title. I made that title too.
You did. I didn't realize that was I didn't realize that was something that you wanted.
It brings me great joy.
Yeah,
yes.
Cool. It sure is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for making my evening.
Man, I feel bad. I feel bad for apparently monopolizing for not giving that to you. Huh. Okay. Well,
What did we go with last week, by the way?
Last week, let me pull this up. That was Dry Pointy Ducks.
Okay. I was rereading.
Yeah, well, Kole said it about the thing that Dave did, so...
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I was rereading my, I keep, a list of them all. I was rereading them, and I'm like, Dry Pointy Duck, that's a pretty good one. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, the only reason I'm able to pull together the A Toady lists is because I do just have a notes app that has all of these in them. So I can go back and pull any of them up. Yeah. No, I always see it as a team effort.
It is a team effort. Yeah. It is a team effort, but because I am acutely aware that I do not crack jokes, and my humor is highly situational, and I'm a lot funnier in person than I am trying to crack a joke on I don't make jokes. I don't have punchlines.
You just don't rush for the easy shit like I do. Yeah. Cool. Well,
speed run that comedy.
all you gotta do is watch the entire series of The Simpsons. If you just quote any line on that, Kole and I will be guaranteed to laugh. So.
Yeah. No, it's that's the thing. You can set it up. We'll set it up, and we'll set and spike is what you need to do. Yeah.
Now
but
I know
it'll just be the same as everybody else's thing that you say, and I want it to be a Jala thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to just be copying everybody.
So now I want to know, has anyone trained an AI on, like, the Simpsons corpus?
For real or fake? Because people definitely fake scripts for Seinfeld and Simpsons and stuff, saying they trained it, but it's actually just them being all random. I don't actually know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to go to sleep, okay?
Yeah, let's do that. Have a good week, everybody.
Peace, y'all.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye. Good luck, Jala. Good luck at work.
Thank you. I hope it's not a trash fire.
Yeah,
Bye.
me too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.